Fear turned to inspiration. New secretary reveals hidden strength of millionaire CEO in 30 days. Clara stood outside the towering Harmon Enterprises building, her heart racing. The sleek glass facade mirrored her anxieties. Just weeks ago, she was a stable mom juggling her routine as an administrative assistant and the needs of her 9-year-old daughter, Mia. Now, she felt like a ship lost at sea after being laid off. Bills stacked like soldiers waiting to be conquered, and the shame of it all clung to her like a heavy coat, but this job secretary to Jack Harmon was not just a paycheck, it was a lifeline. Whispers in the community painted him as a cold, ruthless leader who crushed dreams for profit. And yet, desperation ignited a spark within her. If Jack was as formidable as they said, maybe he needed a touch of warmth amidst his calculated world. Maybe she could help. Her first day in the electric office buzzed with activity as if the air itself hummed with ambition. Clara felt tiny, a mere speck among corporate giants. Doubt settled in her throat like a lump. What was she doing here? But the thought of Mia's hopeful smile pulled her forward. Somewhere in this pulsing heart of capitalism, a chance for better days lay hidden. As the days passed, Clara's relentless positivity began to crack Jack's icy shell. She caught glimpses of his struggle, his newsworthy success woven with personal battles. One evening, while organizing changes for an upcoming board meeting, she found a note tucked in a folder. It revealed Jack's PTSD, a harsh echo from his time as a young veteran. A spark of sadness ignited within her. Here was this man who seemed untouchable, yet harbored scars deeper than she could have imagined. Suddenly, the walls separating them felt fragile. Jack, the minimalistic office warrior, had dreams buried under expectations, the kind of thoughts she pondered as she tucked Mia into bed. Clara passed on words of encouragement over late-night coffee breaks. Their conversations drifted from business strategies to childhood dreams as they unpacked layers of vulnerability. But just as Clara started to feel at home, a scandal erupted. Whispers and accusations echoed throughout the powerful boardroom, threatening to unravel Jack's reputation. Clara's heart sank. She felt the weight of their connection as pressure mounted. The very world that cherished success now turned its back amid the first gusts of controversy. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Clara stood in the heart of the raging storm. Torn between loyalty to Jack, the quietly courageous warrior beneath his calculated exterior, and protecting her own family's future, she fought back tears. It became apparent that in order to protect what they both built, sacrifices would be made. The air thickened with tension as Jack wrestled with his decision. Just when Clara thought everything was lost, Jack stood tall, challenging the falsehoods and defending the very values she had instilled in him: honor, compassion, and community over profit. In that moment, as hope flickered back to life amidst uncertainty, Clara realized that strength didn't just come from success, it radiated from connection, truth, and resilience. As the community watched, a question lingered in the air: could they fight for their values and still emerge together? Would this crossroad bring them closer or tear them apart forever? Clara paced the cluttered office space, her mind racing with thoughts of Jack's stand against the looming scandal. The hum of the fluorescent lights felt louder, almost as if they buzzed with the tension enveloping her. She'd seen the determination in Jack's eyes when he defended himself against the accusations. It wasn't just a fight for his reputation, it was a fight for everything they had built together. She glanced around the office at her colleagues, some whispering, others casting nervous glances at Jack's closed office door. The atmosphere felt pregnant with uncertainty. She had come to see Jack as more than just a boss, he had become a kindred spirit, a mirror reflecting her own struggles and aspirations. Now, standing on the brink of disaster, she felt desperate to help him recover his dignity. Clara. A voice jolted her from her thoughts. It was Sarah, the head of marketing, rushing towards her, worry etched across her face. Have you seen Jack? He's been in there for an hour. We need to protect the brand. Clara felt a wave of anxiety wash over her, a surge of protective instinct for Jack. He's okay. I think he just needs some time to think, she replied, trying to sound more confident than she felt. The board is demanding answers, and you know what they're like. Sarah sighed, her voice low. They won't hesitate to throw him under the bus. He needs a plan. Panic clawed at Clara. She couldn't sit around waiting for someone to decide Jack's fate. What if we rally our team? Show the board that we're united? The idea sparked within her, feeding her growing determination. Sarah raised an eyebrow, contemplating. You really think that could work? Clara nodded, fueled by a mix of fear and hope. We can gather testimonials, show them the real impact Jack has had on all of us, the community. If we demonstrate the loyalty of his team, they might reconsider. With newfound purpose, Clara rushed to the conference room, gathering everyone around. Listen up, everyone. We need to stand together for Jack. Despite the rumors, he has always pushed for values, for transparency, for us. Now it's our time to show what he means to this company. Who's with me? The room was silent for a brief moment, then one by one, heads nodded, expressions shifting from fear to resolve. I'll help, said Marcos from finance, his voice cutting through the tension. He's always been there for us. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the group. Clara felt a warmth spread through her chest, a sense of unity blossomed where anxiety had once thrived. Just as they began to brainstorm ideas, Jack emerged from his office, looking weary yet resolute. Clara's heart raced as she met his gaze. She'd never seen him so vulnerable but so powerful at the same time. This was their moment. Jack! Clara called out, rushing over. We have a plan. We're going to show them the strength of this team and what you truly stand for. Together, we've got this. Jack's eyes softened. For a fleeting moment, the tensions of the past few days faded. Yet the weight of uncertainty still lingered, making the space between them feel charged. As the team began to gather, Clara realized they were not just fighting for Jack but for each other, for their dreams and aspirations interwoven in the fabric of Harmon Enterprises. But in the chaos of determination, Clara was not prepared for the sudden announcement that would send shockwaves through their ranks. A major investor had pulled out, drastically shaking the company's foundation. Clara's stomach twisted in disbelief as she contemplated what this could mean for all of them. Would their plan withstand this unexpected blow? Would Jack's courage be enough to protect them all? As fear crept back into her heart, tear-filled eyes met Jack's, a silent understanding passing between them. They were on the brink of something monumental and the outcome remained uncertain. What they didn't know was that secrets were lurking closer than they imagined, and the real test was yet to come. Clara stared blankly at the screen, the notification of the investor's withdrawal glaring back at her like a bad omen. The conference room buzzed with murmurs, her colleagues exchanging worried glances, every face a mirror of her own dread. It was as if the air had thickened, and she struggled to breathe amidst the tension. All right, everyone, Jack's voice cut through the noise, steady but tinged with strain. Let us hold it together. We'll address this head-on. As a team. There was something grounding in his words, a flicker of the courage they all craved. Clara could see his resolve. He might be hurting, but like a boxer on the ropes, he was ready to swing back. Jack, she said, stepping forward, her voice rising above the worried chatter. We can do this. We have each other's backs. Let us prepare a presentation for the board showing how much we can pull together. They need to see that we're not just numbers on a spreadsheet. A few cheers erupted in the room, a ripple of hope intertwining with the anxiety. Clara could feel the energy shift, an undercurrent of camaraderie fueled by fear, yes, but also by resolve. They weren't just a company, they were a family, Marcos nodded, stepping forward beside Clara. Let us gather stories from everyone. What Jack has done for us matters. He might not have the investors' support right now, but he has ours. Jack's eyes glinted with gratitude as he listened, a small, genuine smile breaking through the clouds of concern. Thank you, everyone. It means more than you know. But as he spoke, Clara's heartbeats collided with an intrusive thought: what if the board wasn't just concerned with numbers? What if they already had their minds made up about Jack? The truth was, she had seen how they often put profit before people. The dangers in their world were never far away. Let us meet in the break room in 10 minutes, Jack directed, his voice shifting back to command mode. We'll brainstorm how we can best present ourselves to the board. We'll make them believe in us, believe in this team. Clara felt the adrenaline pumping through her veins as she followed Jack and the others to the break room. She couldn't shake the weight of dread, but she felt lighter moving alongside her colleagues, unified in their mission to shine a light on the truth. Inside the break room, they stood around the long table, the mood electric with fierce determination. Stories began pouring out, how Jack had fought for fair wages, how he took the time to nurture individual talents, the way he listened when they felt unseen. Every account added another layer of strength to the fabric of their united front. Before long, they were reaching out to other departments, collecting testimonials, videos, and photographs. As Clara joined in discussions with the design team, excitement bubbled within her. These were not just words, they were their shared experiences, living proof of Jack's impact on their lives. Sometime later, Marco walked in with a striking idea. Let us make it personal. Let us show the board the real stories behind the numbers. His enthusiasm was contagious. We could do a video montage, get everyone to share how Jack has changed their perspective on work and community. The room erupted in agreement, and Clara felt a fresh wave of inspiration. It was a fight worth fighting, and they were all in this together. Yet, as the planning deepened, Clara's mind kept wandering back to the investor. There was still a secret lurking, a troubling hint of betrayal. Who were they really up against? When a knock on the door interrupted their fervor, Clara turned. It was Sarah, her expression anxious. Clara, we need to talk. There's something else about the investor. Clara's heart raced at the tone in Sarah's voice. Whatever it was, she could feel in her bones that it could shake everything they built today. Tell me it's not as bad as I think, Clara breathed, dread pooling in her stomach. As Sarah stepped further into the room, Clara sensed the impending revelation would change everything. Would it be the blow that knocked them off their feet, or the spark that ignited their courage even more? Clara braced herself for the truth, knowing that what came next could determine their fight for Jack and the company they loved. Sarah took a deep breath, the tension in her expression palpable. Clara, I overheard something about the investor being pushed out by someone inside the board. It's not just about the numbers. There's more at play here. Clara's mind raced. A hidden force trying to undermine Jack. It felt cold and wrong, like a shadow waiting to swallow their hopes whole. What do you mean? Do you know who? I don't know for sure, but I heard whispers. They're unhappy with Jack's focus on ethics, saying it's hurting the bottom line. They want someone who prioritizes profit. This could be part of a bigger scheme to replace him. Clara felt a tight knot form in her stomach. As the words washed over her, fear coiled around her heart. If they were already scheming to replace Jack, how could they hope to convince the board of their worth? But then another thought pierced through the fog: could this also be their chance to rise together and defend what they all believed in? We can't just let this happen, Clara said, her voice steadier than she felt. We need to gather evidence. Solid testimonials that show they're wrong about Jack and our mission. We can expose this scheme. Sarah nodded. Exactly. But we have to be careful about how we proceed. If we make too much noise, we could put ourselves in danger of losing our jobs. Clara's jaw clenched. The fear was there, but so was that flicker of courage from earlier. We'll be smart about it. That means we need to rally the others, get everyone on board. They have to know what we're up against. Sarah placed a hand on Clara's arm, grounding her. Let us start with gathering everyone's stories first. We can do that under the guise of preparing for our presentation. But we also need to stay vigilant. As they moved through the office, Clara's mind buzzed with plans. They began with the smaller teams, inviting colleagues to share their experiences and feelings about Jack. Each story added weight and depth, creating a tapestry of connection. She could feel the spirit of their camaraderie growing, and with every new voice, they were fortifying their united front. Hours later, the video montage began to take shape. It was a whirlwind of laughter, tears, and heartfelt messages. Clara's heart swelled as clips of gratitude and love for Jack filled the screen. It was proof that he had built a family, a community that went beyond the office walls, but as they worked, a sense of urgency lingered. Who was this hidden enemy? Later that night, Clara couldn't sleep. She replayed the day's events in her mind. That feeling of betrayal stewed inside her. These weren't just stories, they were their lives, their values at stake. When dawn broke, Clara felt more determined than ever. She never thought herself a fighter, yet here she was, ready to stand shoulder to shoulder with her colleagues against a faceless threat. But even in all this newfound resolve, a whisper of doubt snaked into her thoughts. What if the board was more convinced by the whispers of discontent than the heartfelt messages they had compiled? What if their faith in Jack wasn't enough? Clara shook her head, jammed her emotions into the back of her mind, and forced her focus. They still had time. The presentation loomed ahead. Just then, her phone buzzed. A message. She opened it to find an unexpected name, one of the board members, giving her an invitation to meet. Clara's stomach flipped. What did they want? Was it a chance to discuss Jack, or a further step toward his downfall? Her heart racing, Clara realized that this meeting could change everything. She felt the weight of the decision blossom within her. What would she say? How could she protect Jack while facing the very real threat to their community? Clara stood on the brink of something big, battling not just for Jack but for their future. The real question was, were they all in this together, or was there still a crack she didn't see, waiting to break everything apart? The clock ticked. Time was running out. Who could she trust, the board, or her own team? The answer lay ahead in the meeting, and Clara needed to be ready to fight. Clara paced back and forth in her small living room, anxiety threading through her veins like an electric current. The message from the board member was still fresh in her mind, gnawing at her thoughts. She clutched her phone tightly, imagining the meeting that loomed ahead. What could they possibly want to talk about? Was it about her thoughts on Jack, or was it a trap? Taking a deep breath, she pushed the worry aside and reminded herself of the mission. They had gathered testimonials, a collection of heartfelt messages that represented their shared belief in Jack's vision. That was their strength. In the morning light, Clara felt the warmth of purpose. She texted Sarah to meet up. They needed to strategize before her meeting. They couldn't afford to be caught off guard. When they met at the coffee shop, Clara noticed a fire in Sarah's eyes. I can't shake the feeling that someone on the board is watching us closely, Sarah said, her brow furrowed. They know we're rallying support for Jack. We have to be cautious, Clara replied, stirring her coffee absent-mindedly. But we can't let fear rule us. Let us focus on what we can control. As Clara and Sarah discussed their plan, they started receiving messages from their coworkers. Words of encouragement started flooding their phones, with colleagues expressing their gratitude for Jack's guidance. They could feel their unity growing, the invisible bonds of trust tightening around them. That evening, Clara returned home and reviewed the video montage with fresh eyes. Each story told painted a perfect picture of the warmth and integrity Jack brought to their lives. It wasn't just about business, it was about family. Clara imagined presenting this to the board. Their collective voices resonating in one loud, clear message: Jack mattered. Clara's phone buzzed again. It was a reminder for her meeting. The anxiety surged, but she pushed it aside. She wasn't walking in unprepared, she had their momentum with her. The next day, Clara found herself sitting across the polished desk of a board member, their cold demeanor contrasting starkly with the warmth of her team's messages. The moment felt surreal, like standing before a looming storm. "I appreciate you coming in, Clara," the member said, leaning back in his seat, searching her face for a reaction. "We were hoping to discuss Jack's initiatives." As the conversation ebbed and flowed, Clara's heart pounded in her chest. This was her moment. Jack's ethics have not only made this company a better place, but it's created employees who feel valued. She felt a wave of confidence wash over her. The videos we're compiling showcased that. The board member maintained an unreadable expression. "And do you really think those sentiments carry weight against profit margins?" Taking a deep breath, Clara glanced down, visualizing her colleagues' faces. "I believe they do. Because they reflect our commitment, our togetherness. People want to work for a company that feels like a family." At that moment, Clara could feel the shift. Uncertainty lingered, but she saw a spark ignite behind the board member's eyes, as if a flicker of doubt in their previous stance had been struck. A whisper of hope danced within her, urging her to continue. The meeting stretched on, and as Clara wrapped up her arguments, she realized she wasn't just fighting for Jack anymore. She was standing for everyone who believed in the company's mission. For every story shared, leaving the boardroom, Clara felt lighter. She had no idea what impact her words would have, but she was determined to find out. Hope surged through her like never before. Again, her phone vibrated, bringing her back to reality. It was a message from Sarah. "How did it go? Are you okay?" Clara began to type, her fingers flying across the screen. But as she sent the last message, a sudden realization caught her breath. Was the battle with the board just the beginning? What if there was more at stake, lurking in the shadows? Her heart raced anew, the question filling the air: what if the true enemy was closer than they had ever suspected? Clara's phone buzzed again, startling her out of her thoughts. The screen flashed with a new message from Sarah: "Meet me at the park. We need to talk." This felt urgent, more urgent than their usual discussions. Clara's heart skipped a beat. What if things hadn't gone well? She quickly gathered her things and headed out, the sun shining bright but offering little comfort as her worries enveloped her. When she arrived at the park, Clara spotted Sarah sitting on a bench, her expression a mix of excitement and dread. "Clara! You wouldn't believe what just happened," Sarah exclaimed as Clara rushed over. "What is going on?" Clara asked, a knot tightening in her stomach. Sarah leaned in, her voice lowered. "One of the board members, let's call him Jeff, reached out to me just now. He wants to meet. He said he's been thinking about joining our side. He's worried about the direction the company is heading." Clara's breath hitched at the possibility. "What? Are you serious?" It was almost too good to be true. A crack in the enemy line? Yes. But he also said we need to act fast. He fears other members are pushing for drastic changes that will hurt Jack's vision and our workplace culture. Realizing the urgency, Clara felt a surge of determination. If Jeff is on board, it's like gaining an ally in this war. But how do we trust him? Sarah waved her hand as if brushing the thought aside. Trust will come later. We need to capitalize on this momentum. Meeting with him could reveal a lot about what's really brewing behind closed doors. Clara nodded, her mind racing. You're right. We just need to be smart about it. They spent the next hour sketching out a plan, their whispers punctuated by the rustle of leaves and the distant laughter of children playing. There was a new energy, a sense of purpose that thrummed between them. They would meet with Jeff, but also prepare for whatever challenges lay ahead. As Clara headed home, she felt lighter but more alert, like the calm before a storm. But then, another thought crashed in, a reminder of the uncertainty that still loomed. What other board members were lurking in the shadows, plotting against them? She couldn't shake the feeling that their challenges were more profound than they appeared. There was an undercurrent of fear, a silent threat that had crept into the company culture. Clara trembled at the thought, but then centered herself again. They could fight against it. Her phone buzzed for one last time that evening. The message from a coworker read, "Clara, something strange happened today. I overheard something that might change everything." Clara's heart raced. She felt the thrill of anticipation battling with apprehension. What could it be? She texted back quickly, "What do you mean? What's happening?" Nothing could prepare her for the next revelation that awaited her. Did they have the power to change not just their fate, but the entire company? The tension lingered, a spine-tingling question hanging in the air: just how deep was the betrayal? With every step she took towards the unknown, the stakes felt higher than ever before. What dark secrets were hidden in the boardroom, and who was truly on their side? Clara tossed and turned that night, thoughts racing through her mind like fireflies flickering in the dark. She kept reading and rereading her coworker's message, hoping it would yield more answers. The weight of uncertainty pressed on her chest, making it hard to breathe. Morning came too soon. Clara dragged herself out of bed, her mind already racing ahead to the meeting with Jeff. Would he be able to share the insider knowledge they desperately needed? And how could they trust him, really? The questions buzzed louder than the coffee machine in the kitchen. Sarah was already at the cafe where they decided to meet Jeff. Clara rushed in, scanning the tables for her friend. Sarah was perched at the corner, eyes darting occasionally to the entrance as if willing Jeff to materialize. "There you are," Sarah said, relief flooding her voice. "I was starting to worry. He is supposed to be here any minute." "Sorry. Just lost in thought," Clara replied, trying to shake off her anxiety. She took a seat, watching the door as the minutes crept by like slow-moving shadows. Finally, Jeff arrived, an unassuming man with a friendly smile that felt reassuring at first. Clara felt a flutter of hope. "Thanks for coming," he said, sliding into the seat across from them. "I know this meeting is important." Before they could even respond, he jumped right in. "I don't want to waste your time. Things are getting tense on the board. There are factions forming, and some members are hungry for power. It's toxic." He glanced around, as if afraid others might overhear. Clara's heart raced. "What do you mean by factions?" Jeff leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Some are deeply aligned with values that contradict what Jack stands for. They want to steer the company into a different direction. You both need to prepare yourselves. There are whispers that they might push for a vote soon." Sarah leaned in, hanging on to his words. "And what are we supposed to do about it?" "First, you need to gather supporters. There's a gathering of employees next week, people who might feel the same way you do. If you can rally them, start a dialogue, it could change the tide." Clara glanced at Sarah, an unspoken understanding passing between them. This was a chance, but it was far from simple. "How do we know who we can trust?" Clara asked, hesitating. "Trust is earned, not given. But I suspect you'll find some kindred spirits," Jeff replied, his smile fading for a moment. "Just be cautious. The atmosphere is charged, and if you show any signs of dissent, you might be targeted." A chill ran down Clara's spine. She could feel the threat lurking in the shadows, but it was enough to know they weren't alone. They might have the power of numbers, but it would take courage to stand up for what they believed. As they sat there planning their course of action, Clara's phone buzzed violently on the table, making everyone jump. She glanced down, her heart dropping as she read the new message from her coworker. "Clara, I saw someone acting suspiciously by the boardroom. We need to talk ASAP." "It's about Jack." Clara exchanged glances with Sarah and Jeff, her stomach twisting in nervous knots. What new trouble had just emerged? Was there something or someone even more dangerous lurking within the company? She took a deep breath, determined to face whatever came next. A fight was no longer a choice, it was a necessity. Would their resolve and courage be enough to shift the balance of power, or were they merely stepping into a trap? The answers awaited them just out of reach, shadowed by the doubt that clouded their path forward. Clara felt herself teetering on the edge between hope and fear, the inevitable confrontation closing in fast. Clara's hand trembled slightly as she tucked her phone back into her pocket, the weight of the new information pressing heavily on her thoughts. "I think we need to go back to the office now," she said, her voice firm yet laced with urgency. "Are you sure that's a good idea?" Sarah asked, her brow furrowed with concern. "What if whoever is watching makes a move? We can't afford to be passive. If there's something dangerous happening, we have to know," Clara replied, feeling a surge of determination. She looked over at Jeff, who nodded in agreement, his expression serious. "Let us go then," Jeff said, pushing his chair away from the table. "We have to act quickly but smartly. Keep your eyes open for anything unusual." The trio left the cafe with a newfound sense of purpose, the summer sun pouring down, unaware of the tension brewing just beneath the surface. Clara's heart raced as they walked, each step echoing her commitment to uncovering whatever threat loomed within the walls of their workplace. As they approached the office building, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to change. The massive glass structure loomed above them, its sharp angles creating a stark contrast against the blue sky. With every footstep, Clara felt the electric anticipation jolt through her veins. Inside, the lobby was bustling with employees, their laughter and chatter oblivious to the storm brewing behind the scenes. Clara's eyes darted around, searching for any signs of the danger Jeff hinted at. They made their way to the elevator, the hum of machinery a dull background noise to the whirlwind of thoughts in her mind. When the doors slid open, Clara felt a chill run down her spine. She and Sarah stepped inside, followed by Jeff. The air felt thick, almost oppressive, and Clara couldn't help but wonder if someone was waiting for them just around the corner. "Have we got a plan?" Sarah asked, her voice a whisper in the enclosed space. Clara took a deep breath. "We'll split up. I'll go check the boardroom. Sarah, you can alert anyone you trust. Jeff, maybe you can talk to the security team about what has been going on." The elevator chimed, and as the doors parted, Clara stepped out first. A knot of apprehension twisted in her stomach. She glanced down the long hallway towards where the boardroom was located, knowing that each moment spent stalling could mean missing a crucial piece of information. As she walked, she could feel eyes boring into her, and the weight of every whisper surrounding her stung like splashes of cold water. Clara pushed down her rising fear. She had come this far, there was no going back now. Arriving at the boardroom doors, she paused, taking a moment to listen. The muffled sounds of conversation spilled out, reminding her how precarious this situation was. But she steeled herself, turning the knob and stepping inside. The room was empty, but her heart sank as she noticed papers scattered across the long glass table. Had someone already been here? She moved towards them, her fingers trembling as she picked up the nearest document. It was filled with notes, plans for a potential coup. Before she could process what she was reading, she heard footsteps approaching. Panic surged through her. Who was coming? Clara quickly shoved the papers back down, her pulse racing as adrenaline flooded her system. The door creaked open, and Clara's breath caught in her throat as she turned to face the intruder. Would it be someone she could trust or the enemy disguised as a familiar face? "Clara?" The voice was low, almost a whisper. "You need to see this." Her heart raced. Who was standing there? What danger lurked right behind that door? Would this be the moment everything changed, or the moment they feared the most? The figure standing in the doorway stepped into the dim light, revealing a familiar face that brought a mix of relief and unease. It was Kyle, the new administrative assistant, his usual easygoing demeanor replaced by a tense seriousness. His eyes flickered with urgency, mirroring Clara's own racing heart. Clara, I've just been down to the security office, he said, glancing over his shoulder as if expecting someone to follow him in. You won't believe what I found out. Clara's chest tightened. What is it? Kyle moved closer, lowering his voice. I hacked into the surveillance feeds. There's someone in the building with access to everything. They've been moving in and out of places where they shouldn't be. I don't think it's just a random employee. Fear rippled through Clara, followed by a fierce determination. We need to warn the others. They could be in danger. Not yet, Kyle said, urgency mounting in his voice. If we tip them off, we might lose our chance. We need to figure out what they're planning first. There were files, important ones. We need to get them. Clara's mind raced as she considered their options. We can't just wait around. If you saw something suspicious on the feed, we can't take any chances. We have to act now. Did you catch any clues on who this might be? Kyle shook his head, frustration etched on his face. No. But one thing is clear, whoever they are, they know how to cover their tracks. That's why we need to split up, just like you said earlier. I'll go back and keep an eye on the camera footage, and you should search for any records or files that might have clues. Together, she insisted, shaking her head at the idea of splitting up again. This is too dangerous. Clara, listen, Kyle's voice softened as he took a step closer. If we stick together, we might not see what is happening right in front of us. We have to be smart about this. I'll text you any updates I find. But you need to be careful, too. His words hung in the air like a warning. Clara took a deep breath, weighing the risks. Fine. But promise me you'll be careful. He nodded solemnly. With a last lingering look, he slipped out of the room, leaving Clara once more in silence. She stood alone, the weight of the unknown pressing down on her as she steeled herself. The scattered documents on the table demanded her attention, hints of a more profound conspiracy waiting to be unraveled. As she sifted through the papers, one document stood out. A name, Desmond Gray. It was more than just a name. It was a thread she could tug at, one that could unravel everything. Just then, a loud crash echoed through the office hallway, rattling her nerves. Clara's heart raced as she strained to listen, trying to decipher if it was just a harmless accident or something more sinister. The tension suffocated the air around her. Clara. Sarah's urgent voice called from outside the boardroom, followed by hurried footsteps. You won't believe who I just saw. Clara's heart was in her throat. Whatever news Sarah had, it felt like it would shake the very foundation of what they thought they knew. What were they getting into, and how much danger loomed ahead? The door swung open, revealing Sarah's frantic expression. It's about Desmond. He is not what we think he is. Clara felt herself hold her breath, anxiety curling in her stomach. Desmond Gray was tied to the plans and conspiracy stretching further than she could imagine. What shocking revelation would this lead to, and how far down the rabbit hole were they about to dive? Sarah looked at Clara, her eyes wide and filled with urgency. I just saw Desmond talking to one of the board members, an investor we thought was on our side. Clara felt her pulse quicken. What? Are you sure? Yes. I overheard them discussing our efforts to defend Jack, and I swear Desmond sounded like he was scheming against us. Clara's heart sank. This is worse than we thought. We're not just up against a couple of dissenters, there's a whole faction plotting to take Jack down. Sarah took a deep breath, steadying herself. We have to act. If they catch wind of our plan to unite the employees or spread our testimonials, they'll stomp it out before it even starts. Fear coursed through Clara. Then we need to gather everyone. Now. They nodded in unison, urgency propelling them into action. They rushed back to find the others, knowing they were running out of time. The office hummed with an electric tension, employees blissfully unaware of the storm stirring around them. Clara and Sarah raced through, spotting familiar faces who had rallied behind Jack. Marcos, Kyle, and a few others followed closely, each drawn by an unspoken bond. Clara climbed onto a nearby desk, her voice trembling yet filled with determination. "Everyone, listen up. We're in serious trouble. Desmond Gray is leading some sort of scheme against us. We can't let fear stop us from fighting for what we've built here. Jack believes in us, we believe in him. Now is the time to show it." A palpable gasp rippled through the crowd. Marco stepped forward, his resolve radiating confidence. "We need to gather everyone's stories and make a definitive stand," he said, lifting his chin. "But we must do it smart. No loose lips, no risk of alerting the enemy." "Exactly." Clara nodded, feeling a surge of encouragement from her team. "Let us prepare a video presentation using our testimonials. When we're ready, we'll reveal the truth to the board. But first, we have to lay low and gather intel. Who knows how many more are working against us?" Clara saw a flicker of inspiration dawn in their eyes, hope intertwined with the fierce energy of standing up for something greater. They broke into smaller groups to brainstorm and share personal experiences, each moment reinforcing their unity. Hours passed as they pieced the video together, the weight of shared stories revealing the heart beating beneath their corporate skin. Clara's heart swelled as she witnessed their courage rediscovered, weaving through moments of vulnerability and resilience, transforming fear into a shared vision of strength. When the video montage was complete, they squeezed into the break room to review it together. As Clara pressed play, their faces glimmered with pride and emotion, every message an anthem against the darkness seeking to tear them apart. Just then, Clara's phone buzzed. A message from Kyle read, "I think I've found something." Her heart raced again. "I need to speak with you." She whispered urgently to Sarah and ran toward the boardroom. With every step, danger loomed larger, but so did the strength they had built together. When Clara entered the boardroom, Kyle was already there, nervous energy crackling in the air. "I accessed the footage of the meeting from earlier. Desmond confirmed the details of their vote. It's happening soon. They're planning to push Jack out next week," he said, every word sharp with urgency. "What do we do?" Clara asked, panic clawing at her throat. "We spread the word. We gather every voice from our project and show the board that they can't easily throw Jack away," Kyle replied, his eyes fierce with determination. "We can't back down. If every person in this company stands up, they won't have an option but to take notice." Clara felt her heart hopeful yet heavy. This wouldn't be easy, but they were no longer alone. It was a call to arms, a chance to rise. "Let us do it. Prepare everything for the presentation. The board needs to hear every single one of us." Exhilaration surged through her crew, anger and hope coalescing into a united front. They spread the word, igniting sparks of purpose in every corner of the office. As the day of reckoning approached, Clara gathered with newly united colleagues, hope blazing in each heart. Together they would defend their vision, not just for Jack, but for every shared dream and aspiration. United in spirit and passion, they took a breath and prepared for the confrontation, the chance to expose the truth and reclaim their agency. It was time to stand together. The battle was on. And as Clara glanced around at her comrades, she realized that in their darkest hour, they had transformed fear into fire, the flicker of hope ignited into a roaring flame that could not be extinguished. This was their moment, a showdown for values, community, and the heart of Harmon Enterprises. But would it be enough to triumph over a tide of greed hiding in plain sight? Only time could tell. In this pivotal moment, Clara knew they would fight for every piece of their story and for Jack, who believed in them all. Together, they would step out, ready to face whatever darkness that lay ahead. It was time for action. It was time for truth. Now, as the story comes to a close, consider the journey we've taken together. Make sure to subscribe immediately to see more exclusive stories just like this one. Your support is essential for sharing these empowering tales. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your thumbs up makes a huge difference. Comment below with your reactions, feelings, or thoughts about this thrilling conclusion. I want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Only true fans understand the importance of lifting our community through these actions.